Welcome to the Edit Podcast. Before I hand you over to our hosts, I wanted to take a moment to say thanks for subscribing, for listening, and engaging since we launched in 2020. I originally set up this podcast as the think tank to give support and knowledge to entrepreneurs during the COVID-19 lockdown in Wales. And since then, it has snowballed into a resource for entrepreneurs across the world with more than 2 million listeners as I record this. Now, as we're about to launch a second podcast specifically for Welsh art, for culture and music in Wales, I'm incredibly pleased that I've got some truly great hosts who are able to answer some of the hundreds of questions that we get asked about business and to chat with some of the incredible entrepreneurs who are making Wales great. There'll be some weekly editions of this podcast answering your questions and a monthly segment where we interview someone who is making waves in Welsh business. Keep a lookout for our second podcast on Welsh art, culture and music. And if you're a creative person in Wales, take a look at our website for dedicated support, workshops, guidance and training.
Welcome to the Edit Questions and Answers edition with Lora and Ryan Powell. This is where we come together and answer the questions you've sent in about entrepreneurship, small businesses and culture in Wales. Shall I get started with the first question for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Brill. So first question is from Henry from Neath. What are the benefits of registering my business as a limited company?
Cool. I love this one because it's always a classic when you go from like sole trader to small business to actual business. I think there's nothing wrong with being a sole trader, but there's differences in both.
But yeah, and it could be quite daunting. I remember the jump for me and I was just like, oh, am I doing the right thing?
For sure. I'm like pro limited company all the way. And for two reasons. It's like the financial implications of it and then also the legal implications.
Yeah.
So just starting with the legal, it just creates some distance between you and the company. So say I'm a plumber, so here's Ryan just as a plumber, here's Ryan, and here's Ryan's Plumbing Limited. All I've done now is I've created some distance between me and the limited company, and then this one will take legal liability. So if I've completely screwed up someone's drains or the company has, at least they'll take the limited liability there. And it's also, if you were to get sued as a sole trader, hopefully you wouldn't be anyway, but it would actually go into your company. So it just creates that like limited liability. Things can go wrong in business, especially when you're handling like employees, contractors, things like that. Some things that are even out of your control. It is really good to create some distance legally between you and the company. And then the next one then is financial. So I think the question really is look at how much you're earning. So I believe you can earn, it's like around £1,000. I think it's like £1,040 or £47 a month without being taxed. Again, this is not financial advice, it's education. But actually look how much you're earning. And if you are earning like quite a bit over that, then it might be time to set up a limited company because you are taxed on your profits rather than your income. So you're taxed like, again, it's like at the end of the year, you look at how much you've made, you pay corporation tax on that rather than paying income tax. So it's actually, we're earning quite a bit now. Let's be a company, or do we actually stay as a sole trader? Because I think it's not worth all the effort. If you're not earning much from it, wait a bit, maybe, and then take on a limited company. But I will say one thing that's really helpful about setting up a limited company for me is that because I'm technically an employee of my company, it forces me to manage my money like a lot better. So I go, that's the business money and that's my money. And so the business will pay me, and then I will then go and do, whatever with my own personal money, but I'll make sure that the business money is actually used for business stuff. I think sometimes what happens when you're a sole trader, the two can combine and actually you can overspend personally or maybe overspend business-wise, you got nothing personally. It just really helps like create that bit of distance. I'm not sure what your experience is with making that jump, but for me, it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, I think within this year, or we got to year 2, and then we moved to a limited company. And being my first business, having everything quite new to me, I had to think about it a lot. I don't know why. All the details are there on the internet for you to see. Like you just mentioned now, some of the key points. But I think the thing that helped me the most was probably having a conversation with my accountant, and taking their advice, because obviously they do it day in, day out, and listening to them and understanding the benefits a little bit more of being a sole trader to a limited company. And I haven't looked back since. Do you know what I mean? I think that conversation give me the confidence enough to say, yes, this is the right decision and this is the way we're going to move forward. In order to grow the business, it has to happen in order to grow the business and take on employees and do multiple other things that you want to do in terms of growth. It's the starting point, I think, is where you need to start, is to make that transition into limited company. And if you don't know much about it, then learn. The internet is a wonderful thing, but also have conversations. Maybe have a conversation with somebody who's already been in that position and is going the same way as you, or needs, or was in your position at once and had that conversation with somebody else. And I think having those conversations will give you not only information, but it will give you the confidence that you're making the right decision for you and your business going forward. Yeah, I just think that conversation changed my perspective on it, definitely, when I was making the decisions.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. If you're looking to grow, definitely look at it. Speak to an accountant, and if you're still doing like small contracts and things, and you're not essentially like looking to take anyone on, maybe it's good to say, yeah, as a sole trader, just have a look, speak to an accountant. I definitely think that's the move. I've got a question for you. It's from Avery from Conroy. Uh, how can I access support for young entrepreneurs in Wales?
There's lots of support actually, and as a business Wales, there's lots of different support available for young people, and being a Big Ideas role model, I think the main one that comes to mind for me is Big Ideas Wales. If you're currently in school and you are looking to be an entrepreneur, schools can work with Big Ideas role models and come out and help you understand what you want to achieve. Maybe have a look at your idea and how you can move forward with it. We go out and we give talks about how our business is developed over the years, but also with that program you can meet other young people in the same position as you, and you can develop your business ideas together. It's got lots of benefits to it. It's even got funding available for young entrepreneurs who do really want to start that business and get it off the ground. It's worth having a look at Big Ideas Wales and their funding. There is also other funding opportunities available and support. So going back to Business Wales, again, they can provide advice and support. They also do, I'm not sure if it's currently live, but they have done in the past, where there is a young person startup grant. There is obviously key factors that you need to fit within the remit of what their application process is, but it's definitely worth having a look at that. You've also got the Prince's Trust. I've also done some work with them in the past with the younger entrepreneurs, and again, that's a really good network to be part of if you fit the criteria. We've already covered, I think, definitely in conversation, the Development Bank of Wales, your local authorities, Welsh Government initiatives as and when they come out. It's about keeping on top of the news that is available at the moment, and all the new changes that are coming in and the different pots of funding that you may have access to or may qualify eligible to as well. But
Yeah.
I think definitely the ones that stick out for me in Wales are the Prince's Trust, are Big Ideas Wales, and definitely Business Wales, because there is more sort of content, tool support available for those younger entrepreneurs as well. I love this question because I really support young entrepreneurs. I believe that school is one box and not all fits in that one box. We all learn in different ways, and some people really I've spoke to children in school and wow, their ideas are amazing. The detail that they've thought through as well is admirable. I just think,
Kids are creative. Kids are
honestly,
so
they are
creative.
so creative, and the conversations that we've got a school. I've been out to a school that actually is running like a social enterprise project within their Welsh back classes,
Okay.
and it's so great that they can share their ideas and they can be open as they want. They're not judged. They're working within groups. They're they're creating products from literally pen and paper to
That's cool.
selling them in Christmas fairs, so they actually
Oh,
get
wow.
to experience the whole journey of the parts of the business, and they get to share that with their friends as well. And whether they take that outside of the school when they're ready or when they're a little bit older, but definitely I am a very big champion around young entrepreneurs. And yeah, if there's anything I can ever do to help them, I will. I even help local universities with internships and that kind of thing. It's definitely worth having a look at big ideas, Prince's Trust, and yeah, Business Wales, and see what they've got going on as well.
Yeah, you heard it here, folks. Those are good recommendations. Great stuff.
Okay, so we're moving on to your next question now. This is from Sophia from Bridgend. How can I improve my business's online presence?
Oh, nice. Bridgend's my hometown, so yeah, that's a nice one. Cool. First off, I don't know if this is a bit of a hot take or not, but when looking at online presences, assess if you actually need one and where you need one first. I think we have this expectation to have an online presence because everyone's on social media, everyone's looking what everyone else is doing, and you want to look the best. Assess, is it for ego or is it for business? Which is a bit like, that's a bit harsh, but sometimes you might just be wasting your time on it because it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And if you don't need it to make sales, don't use it. And I think so that's the first thing. And then if you assess that you do need it, then it's assessing where my audience are. In my line of business, we found that our audience, our demographic, is mainly Facebook users.
Yep.
So we focus like solely on Facebook at the minute. And then once we think we've nailed that, then we look at like growing onto other platforms, because there's no point in my business using LinkedIn because our audience is not on LinkedIn. So if I was to spend 1 hour on Facebook and 1 hour growing my LinkedIn, that hour on LinkedIn is actually wasted, whereas I should just put 2 hours onto Facebook. So assessing where we actually need to put our efforts into like the digital area is definitely worth. Are people buying from your website? If so, it's SEO, Google ads, or is it again like Facebook, TikTok? Just assess that. Who are my audience? Where are they hanging out? If they're younger, it's TikTok, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think once you've done that, then you want to just be the best in that space. And you might be, the question is like, what do I put online? And the thing is, you don't really want to end up like running your own like media company almost, because it takes a lot of effort to like record things. And while you're doing, whatever it is that your business sells on top of making content, all the rest of it, I would definitely have a little think about that, because that can, I don't know, I found myself just making content for the sake of content before. So once you've done that and you figured it out, and you don't know what to post, just research people in your sector. So I've seen some great law firms do some great stuff on TikTok where they give basically like free advice, but it increases like trust in them. And you think, if I'm going to pick a lawyer, I'll pick them. And so that investment is like worth it. They're not just posting for the sake of posting. It's like they're giving some value to their customers, and then the customers are going there. You know what I mean? Our biggest one is actually, ours isn't even a page at all. We use a group, and we use a group because we do like polls, we do cinema. So it's like, what film do you want to see next? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's where our efforts are better used, rather than just putting random pictures on Instagram at the minute, because again, it has purpose, it has strategy. I think posting for the sake of posting, there's no strategy there. But as soon as you get a strategy going, I think that's the big one. So yeah, assess what you need, where you need to put it, and then if you don't know what to post, look at what other people are doing in your industry.
Yeah.
I think that's,
and like you said, you can get busy being busy by just posting things, being reactive, and
yeah,
actually, as a business owner, that's really zapping some of your needed time. I think I found when I first started my business, I wanted online presence and I wanted it everywhere. And
yeah.
I wanted to use
Oh yeah,
it
same.
to the advantage, but then you have to pull back a little bit and you have to be strategic about what you're doing. So like, you have looked at your audience, you've looked at what best will work with them. Facebook group is the perfect opportunity for you to not only engage with your audience, but also use that to your advantage to make business decisions going forward. And there are a lot of social media platforms as well. There's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's TikTok. And if you had a page on all of those platforms, you would be doing social media basically
Yeah.
day to day.
Yeah, you run a media company. That's it,
Yeah,
isn't it?
you'd be running your own social media company because you'd be so busy doing that, you wouldn't have time to actually do what you went into business to do or what your passion is. And it's really down to being strategic. Where are your audience? Is it business to business? Maybe LinkedIn is worth having a look at for you. If it is it business to consumer, again, Facebook, or demographics. What age? What's your target audience? And it's you need to have a think about all those things before you go wading in and getting all those profiles and posting like crazy.
Yeah.
Use your time wisely, I think, is a good bit of advice from people who have been there and done it.
Yeah, wasted like time, a lot of time on it. I have, you know what I mean? And it was only when I actually did a little strategy and, used the planning time. Like it takes far less time to plan than it does to post randomly. Like you just take the few hours to plan and you'll save you hours in the future. So
Definitely.
plan when it comes to social media,
I
for
agree.
sure. I've got a question. This came in from Benjamin, who's from Aberdeen, and it's, what are the best ways to attract and retain customers?
Yes, so it's a funny one for us because I think a lot of our customers come to my business in particular based off referrals from existing
Yeah, so
customers.
you're a VA service, right? Just for the
Yeah,
list.
just for the listeners, I run LCVA services. We're a virtual business support service. We sort of specialise in provide administration, marketing support, but we also help with the consultancy side of things with business solutions, streamlining systems, processes, and things. And over the years, yes, having that social media presence is key at the start because you need to have a little bit of brand recognition built up. But in terms of attracting and retaining your customers, you can't put all your eggs in one basket and rely on social media. Now, because we're business to business, we have a lot of referrals from our clients' contacts. So they have mentioned us in a conversation that they've saved time by us doing a task for them, or they've actually used the resources around them to their advantage and used somebody who's got a skill set that suits the task better than maybe they would. And it's building that relationship with your customer so that when they're out talking to their friends or within their network, that they talk about you and say how well you're doing and how
Yeah.
much time that they've saved you and how they could potentially help you with whatever is going on in your world at the moment. And we do have a lot of business based off the back of referrals. Attracting new clients, you do have to understand your target market, so your target audience. I think is key to know where your customers will sit. Again, just as we've talked about digital marketing, if your clients are mainly on LinkedIn, make that LinkedIn page your priority rather than your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok.
Yeah.
Using those things to your advantage, attracting new clients. I think there's always the business basics where you can have special offers and promotions that may attract more sales. It really depends whether, I think, if you're a project-based business or whether you're a service-based business.
Yeah.
There are differences between them, but it's also listening to your audience, listening to those in your network, and understanding the pain points around this particular subject and having those conversations. I can't say it enough. The thoughts and the education that comes through from having conversations is a little bit of lifelong learning to me.
Yeah, networking's big in your game, isn't it? It's definitely, it's B2B.
It
It's
is.
business to business. I
It's
think
it's
networking is huge.
it's building your network, it's building your contact base, but it is also giving back a little bit to the community. And we'll go out and we will help local charities. So recently we went out to a local
Oh,
charity
cool.
in Two Wish where we donated our time and helped them build memory boxes for what their service users use. And if your business is able to do that, then giving back a little bit in community does go a long way when you want to get your business presence
Yeah.
on the floor in your community. And retaining clients is making sure is down to business basics, I think, and it's providing that excellent service so that they will go on to their friends and family and recommend you. If you're a project based, occasionally as well in service based businesses, you can create a customer loyalty program, customer interactions, maintain and offer consistent quality work or products to them. If a client or a consumer buys a bad product and that's the first time they bought it, they will probably voice their opinions. I guess if you buy a bad skin, I'm just pulling one out of the bag
Sure.
here. But if
Yeah.
you bought skincare that you were trying for the first time and you didn't really see any results and it wasn't doing anything for you, when you were having a conversation with your friend the next day, you'd probably say, oh, I tried this and it wasn't really good. And that puts that person off buying that product as well then. So it's about creating those positive thoughts around your business, those positive sort of structures to get people to talk about you when you're not there.
Oh yeah. I mean, attracting is one thing, retaining is another, isn't it? But yeah, attraction, like I said, the adverts, be getting out there, headline offer deadline is something that we live by. It's like our mantra. It's okay, we're gonna do, like I said, in our game, we're business to consumer with cinemas, so it's headline will be cinema, offer is like £10 off, deadline this Friday. Headline, offer, deadline. That's how we attract new customers for us. Retaining is just in our game, business to consumer again. We just like a lot of follow-up emails. We do like, I don't really like to call them newsletters. I think newsletters people just ignore a little bit. But I do think like some genuine values. So we're like, oh, just a reminder whether we got these shows on, or maybe it's certain offers that we send through emails.
Yeah.
We try to not abuse our email and our text system. We actually use email for regular updates and we use text for like big offers, and we try and condition our audience to be like, if they get a text it's like a big thing,
Yeah.
but if they get an email it's maybe a bit smaller, and that's how I want to play it. Mainly because text costs me more, so I don't want to use it for like
Yeah,
regular
but
stuff.
again, it's you using your resources to your advantage, which is key in business, and just having a look at the resources around you, and whether it's invested in a CRM system and building that database of contacts, customers. But again,
Yeah.
I'm with you on the sort of newsletter. We put a newsletter out quarterly just so that people can keep in touch with what we're doing, understand that what we're progressing, what new product services are coming out, but we're not overkilling as well, because I know in my mailbox I'm on some mailing lists and they will email you every single
Oh, I
day,
know.
and
I know.
that definitely gets me to unsubscribe.
Yeah, it does. It does with me as well. I do escape rooms quite a lot. I love escape rooms. Just gonna put it out there. If anyone is from an escape room, do send in a question because but like
I know one. I can get your question.
those new newsletters work on me, because if they got a new room, I want to know about it.
Yeah,
So I'm actually getting value. Like I'm subscribed because I want to be subscribed, because I genuinely want to know when they've got another room, and that's always great when you actually like you're getting something out of it. And I think some supermarkets will even do like offers like £10 off this shop if you subscribe, so it is worth. So just make it worth for people. Don't just randomly email them, because they'll be like, go away, I'll just delete you. But if
yeah.
you've given them offers, some good stuff, that's the way to retain, to be honest with you. I
It
think that's
is, and we've done a few tasks in the past for our clients who we help with their calendar and diary management. With and part of that is their email management as well. And we go into those mailboxes, and over the years, they've signed up to so many different mailing subscriptions. We could spend the best part of an hour unsubscribing to hundreds of these newsletters that play no significance in their life whatsoever anymore, and it's gaining more work. It's contributing to their workload. By removing those, we're cleaning up the mailbox and we're helping them see straight every time they go into their mailbox. But I can appreciate when we buy something, we will automatically be enrolled onto a new mailing list, and
Yeah.
we don't necessarily want to be. I spent the best part, I think, of last weekend, half an hour in my mailbox just unsubscribing, because I do not read those emails. I left them unread anyway. And
Yeah.
I think it's important to maybe do a bit of a cleanup as well, as you get through business, maybe every 6 months, to decide which ones you are getting the real value out of.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Just due to time, should we move on to the next question?
Yeah, sure. Lost the question. Finding it.
All right.
Sorry. Next question is from Michael from Woking. What's the best way to handle a team member who is always underperforming?
Spicy. Spicy. Michael, I hope your employee's not watching this because that'd be quite spicy. But yeah, just first off, I think is figuring out what underperforming actually means, right? Because if it's a loose term, is it underperforming in sales? Is it just they never meeting you on tasks? I would check their agreement and make sure that you have something in writing, whether it's a text or an email or
Yeah.
in the actual employment contract of what is performing and what is underperforming. Because I think that's huge. Because I could go to someone, oh, you're underperforming, you haven't done this, that, and the other. And they're like, I didn't know how to do this, that, and the other. So I think that's really the big one. So if they've got a quota of 10 sales and they're only getting 5 continuously, then yes, obviously there's a conversation. It's a figure, it's in writing, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
Is it objective or is it subjective? And I think that's really like key.
Yeah.
So again, look at that contract. How are they actually underperforming? So once you've done that, you then figure out, is it on you? Because if it's on you, it's not in writing. There is no number, there is no expectations, you haven't given proper deadlines. So you decide first, is it on the employee or is it on you? There are times where I've been like, oh, I feel like my employees aren't doing much, and then it's oh man, I wonder who's behind that. And it's, have you seen that Scooby-Doo thing where like Fred pulls off the mask, who's behind this? And it's Fred. It's me.
But
I'm the one who's behind this.
yeah, but are you, as a manager, I think you've got to turn that on the flip side as well and have a look at, am I actually providing everything that they need in order to fulfill their workload, to reach the standards that I want them to as well? I think there's a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
of
of course.
leading the way as well.
Do you blame the student or the teacher? And the answer is, it honestly depends on the circumstance. It depends on what's actually going on. You blame the teacher if they've not taught or they've not laid out the objectives correctly, of course, because then there's nothing to aim for. There's no clear targets. But you blame the student if it's genuinely the student just bucking about, or if they aren't
Yeah.
taking things in. And that is, again, so there's, obviously I don't know this person's situation, so I couldn't say that it is one way or the other. But the first thing you do is assess, is it me? Are things clear in writing and all that stuff? And then once you have assessed, okay, it is me, then obviously then you look at fixing it. Now, if it's them, I think that's where it gets a bit tricky because there is only so many chances. So first off, check your disciplinary procedure. If you don't have one, again, that relies, that goes back onto you. Then that's a problem, and you need to get one. You need to write one, and you need to draft up a new agreement. But if you do have a disciplinary procedure, which is we do one review meeting, then this happens. We do a second meeting, and then this happens. We do a third meeting, and then you're out, or whatever your procedure is. You should just follow that through and just be like as legal and logistical as possible. However, a trick that I really using is I actually just like questioning people, because sometimes if you ask people a line of questioning, they can either come to their own conclusions or they can at least see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So for us in our game, what I will do is I'll be like, what would you do if you were me? If you're like, you've got someone, they're doing this, and every time that you try and help them, they don't take it, what would you do? Or another good one is like, how could I make this workplace more accommodating so you hit your targets? Is there a way that I could get you to hit your targets? You know what I mean? So you look at that. And I think that's like super important. Again, it's you question them and then allow them to come to their own conclusions. And I think, that's a big one. We use that one. And sometimes people will go, oh, do you know what? You are right. You've actually done everything. And it's called self-selection. They basically self-select themselves out of the organization. So do you think this is correct for you? Because these are the standards. We've done everything we can at our end, and you're letting me know there's nothing else we can do. So what would you do if you were me? And what do you think you can do on your end? And half the time they'll go, do you know what? You're right. And they'll actually self-select themselves out of the job. Or they'll tell you, actually, you haven't given me deadlines and you haven't given me this and you haven't given me that. So that's the way to
Yeah.
do it. Again, follow your procedure, question, figure it out. Who's at fault? That's the way to do it, I think.
And again, I think it's having those open conversations. I'm very open with the staff at my business. We have open conversations, whether it's to do with something new that's coming along or whether we have to sit and review the current workloads, anything in the day-to-day business. I think it's being open. And I always pull back to the graphics of being a manager and being a leader. And yes, I probably sit more on the leader side of the fence because I have those conversations. We work together as a team. It's not me sitting at the top saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. because actually you employ people for a reason, because of their skill set, because of their own knowledge. They are working in your business day to day, so they have a really good set of outputs that they could provide you as well, in terms of this is working well, this is not working well. If you're a training company and you have a load of trainers, or you subcontract to some external trainers to carry out the training, and maybe the internal processes are not working very well, then have those conversations and see what changes you can make to make it better together, rather than sitting there and pointing the finger. There's always HR. I'm not a HR professional, and I'm pretty sure that there's HR advisors out there that would be able to help you and give you some really constructive feedback. But maybe having a look at where things stand right now and how you can make those things better by having those conversations is the first port of call. And yeah, I agree. I think I'm all about conversations, because conversations can open up doors. They can sharing knowledge. I think for me, is lifelong learning is always going to be a thing. I think throughout life, we're always going to learn something new every day, whether that's about ourselves, about our business, about other people around us. It's taking note, and whether you act on that, then that's your decision. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. Right, I think that pretty much wraps up this week's questions and answers edition of The Edit. If you've got a question on entrepreneurship, or you're in the creative sector and need the answer to some burning questions that you have, drop us an email at theeditwales@gmail.com. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.